All right, let's get this thing started then. So, all right, starting off with James. Who am I?
Hey y'all, I'm James. I think most of you probably know me by now. Big Jesus guy. Just finished up an internship at Apple InfoSec, as we're going to see in a minute. Third year honors BSMS cybersecurity student here at RIT. I am local. I'm from Rochester. Go Bills. Go Bills. I am the CCDC captain, so be there at tryouts tonight. I'm also the red team chief. It's at Wednesdays from 6 to 7. I'm on the club volleyball team, play a lot of other sports, listen to a lot of country music, and I go line dancing a lot. You can find me pretty much every Thursday and Saturday night at Nashville's. And I love Chick-fil-A. If you ever ask me to go to Chick-fil-A, I'm not going to say no.
Let's see if this one works.
Oh.
Can everyone hear me?
We can have our own mics now.
Oh yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Dan LaChance. I'm the president of RITSec, and I'm a third year cybersecurity major. This past summer, I interned at Microsoft on the Sentinel team. I love driving. I'm an avid hiker, rock climber. I love all you can eat. They hate to see me coming, and go Bills.
What's your favorite food, by the way?
I do love cauliflower.
It's actually the special today, the chef special. The side is cauliflower.
All right. Moving on.
So for our co-op history, starting off with me, my first internship I did at a small local real estate company called Conifer Realty. There I did a whole lot of Azure. I did just about everything Azure. I was pretty much just an IT intern there. Yeah, they kind of just gave me the keys to the company. It was only like a 500-person company, only 150 corporate employees. By the end of my internship, my whole team had gotten fired. It was pretty awesome, good experience, and ultimately led me to getting my internship at Apple, where I was last summer. I'm an intern at Apple InfoSec, which is the business security org. I'm not cool like Sherrod and Sear. He does product security. But I still got to do a lot of cool things. We protect basically the whole cloud. So like all of your iMessage data, make sure all the services like Apple Music, podcast, all that cool stuff work. A lot of cool stuff like that. There I did some internal XDR dev, made some cool features, and I did a lot of cool binary analysis, making sure that you guys aren't allowed to download malware onto your Macs and your iPhones. 99.9% sure I'll be returning to Apple InfoSec on the advisory or on the adversary emulation or ISML team next summer.
All right. So my first internship was at Travelers Insurance, which is actually now a sponsor of the club. So they're a silver sponsor. They're going to be in person for our Career Fair Eve event, and I believe also online for a virtual one next week. And so there I was on a team of 10 interns as a software engineer, and pretty much what I did there was I did databasing using DynamoDB on AWS for an internal web application. And from a lot of that experience, I was able to get my AWS Cloud Practitioner certification and completely paid for by the company. So if you have the opportunity to do that, I would highly recommend it. Just as a side note, because getting that certification also helped me get my Microsoft job. So I did third-party cloud adversary simulation for log generation on Microsoft Sentinel. So basically, they want to expand Sentinel from just an Azure product to be to support third parties as well, so that they can increase their customer space. And so I will be returning there full time on the same team next year. Right. So. Oh yeah, make sure to sign it. That's a side note right there. Yeah, thank you. I love everybody pulling out their phones. All right, so this is what we're gonna be going through today. So based off preparation, how to get a good resume, what should be on your resume, that kind of thing, your online presence, so that you can be set up to connect with all of your recruiters on LinkedIn. Then how to find a job, so career fairs, interviews, going through that whole process. And then once you get a job, we don't want you to get fired. And networking is important once you get there, because connections, once you break into the cybersecurity space, connections are everything. All right. So starting with preparing resumes. Okay, so how to get started. We used to have Credle on here. It just says a little note. Credle is no more. So Sorry to everybody that uses Credle. But there are a couple of other options that you can do. Google Docs, Microsoft Word, Resume.lol, Overleaf. And so Overleaf is a like shell that you can use in order to compile LaTeX. And so LaTeX, that formatting down at the bottom, that's my personal preference. It's like a fairly steep learning curve once you get started, but once you like figure everything out, you can create a resume in like 5 minutes and have it formatted perfectly because it's just better than Microsoft Word.
I disagree. I have a Word resume. It's suited me for a long time, and I think it looks great. We have our preferences. I just put these on there too, so that like there's not one size fits all. We're gonna give you guys a lot of advice today. Pick and choose. I don't want to say pick and choose what you follow, but there's a lot of ways to do and get the same things accomplished.
Absolutely. Just make sure that it scans properly, really. All right, so what should be on your resume and what format should it follow? Generally, we recommend that you start with an objective just so the recruiter knows what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a like spring co-op, put that on there. Summer co-op, put that on there. Full-time, that's what should be in your objective. Then your education should be next because that's really, at this point, the most important thing that you have on your resume, unless you have like crazy job experience already, which is fairly unlikely. Then your work experience, so anything, really anything, but we'll cover that in a minute. Then your activities, projects and competitions, like conferences, volunteer experience, certifications, all that stuff. And then way down at the bottom, you should put your skills. So your skills are really just for the ATS scanner to pick you up and move you to the next round so a human will actually look at your resume.
What's an ATS scan?
I actually don't know what it stands for.
I don't know what it stands for either, but it's that
Applicant tracking system.
It's the thing that automatically scans your resumes and uses AI and ML to filter out the bad resumes from the good ones before they get to any recruiter or person who is manually reviewing your resume. That is something to think about, and we'll talk about that a bit later.
Absolutely. All right, so starting off with the objective.
You do it.
All right. So objective, this is where you want to explain what you're actually looking for. So you're starting summer 2026 for like a co-op internship, full-time position. This is where that's going to go. And then also the key aspect of this is to put in there your specialization. So what are in cybersecurity are you really looking for in a career, and what do you have the most previous experience in? Because if this is at the top of your resume, it will catch the recruiter's eye, and if it's exactly what they're looking for, you got yourself an interview, guys. So yeah.
Yeah, as Dan said, the next most important section is education. This is, as students, what really sets us apart, right? We are getting this education. We're in school right now. We go to RIT. Most of us are getting a BS in cybersecurity. There's probably a few CS people in here in computer science. There's a few things you're going to want to have in here. I've included both of our resumes just to see. There's not one size fits all for this. You're going to want to have your expected graduation year, your minor or immersion that you're doing, if you think it's worthwhile to put on there. Then there's a few optional things. Your GPA, not as required as it used to be. This is something, if you guys are curious, my mom's a recruiter, so I learned a lot of this from her. She said we typically recommend 3.25 minimum to put it on GPA. She says 3 or above. If she sees GPA not on there, she just assumes it's below a 3. So if you're around that 3 to 3.25 range and above, definitely put your GPA on there. Also, relevant coursework. This is something that I think we would both recommend tailor to a specific job. If you're applying for a reverse engineering role, put CSEC 201 and 202 on there. If you're applying for a sysadmin job, put all the networking classes on there and sysadmin classes, stuff like that. You can tailor your resume. We have a lot of good coursework here, but when you kind of just throw all of it on there, it can overwhelm these recruiters who, are recruiting for this one specific thing. So this is something I would definitely tailor to a specific job you're applying to. Skills, I'm not sure why this section is next. This should be at the bottom of your resume, but it's next in the slide deck. You're going to want to categorize this from what you know most to what you know least. You're going to want to put this into different categories as well: programming languages, software, OSs, I wouldn't put soft skills. I have a soft skills section in there. Honestly, I should probably take it out. Um, and then be comfortable talking about every single thing in this section. You're going to see that as a common theme. You should be able to talk about everything in your resume. Do not BS any of it because a technical person interviewing you will see right through it. And this you can also customize the job posting as well if you have a lot of skills and not a lot of room. Definitely tailor this to the application because this is what you're putting in there for the applicant tracking system to scan.
Yeah, this is pretty much the most important section to be changing and tailoring to the application that you're applying to, or the job that you're applying to. And another note on that, like soft skills, it might be worth putting on like some of your interests. That's what we've been hearing from some of the recruiters. Put on some of your interests for the career fair. Do not keep it on your resume for like online scanning. But if you just want like a conversation starter with a recruiter, get the jitters out, something like that, it's oftentimes something good to have on your resume when you're again in person.
Yeah. The next most important one, work experience. This is going to be the bread and butter if you already have a co-op. If you don't, still have a work experience section. I cannot emphasize this enough. I don't care if it was putting the fries in the bag or pumping gas for someone, right? You should still have this on there. People want to know that you have worked a job before and understand how a job works, right? I got questions all the time about my first two jobs. My first one was doing Nerf parties. I would like manage parties for little kids shooting Nerf blasters at each other when it was their birthday. You would not believe how many recruiters asked me questions about that job, right? And then similarly, I worked as a line cook for a couple of years. Recruiters want to talk to you about this. Honestly, couldn't tell you why, but it shows that you've worked for a job and you've put some sort of effort in. You're going to want to sort these in order from latest to oldest. These are a few very important bullet points that I've learned from many different people across the years. Every sentence should start with an action word. Collaborated, developed, engineered, designed, managed, worked, reviewed. Action word always goes as the first word of the sentence. Next, this is something I learned from my co-op prep panel that is very true. The ABC method for formatting your sentences. Utilized A to do B, enabling the business to do C. I put a real simple example here. Developed Python scripts, automating common incident response tasks, enabling the team to handle incidents faster. This shows what you used, what you did, and what it did for the business, which is super important for many of the non-technical people looking at your resume. If you can, you're going to want to name as many tools, languages, software as possible because when a company sees that, then they don't have to retrain you on that software. And also quantitative data. First in IRSec out of 15 teams, wrote 10-page report, gained company $1 billion. Yeah, sure. But yeah, that action word and ABC sentence structure, very important, does wonders for your resume. Next, extracurriculars. This is where you're just going to put a whole lot of things. There is really no one size fits all for this. I've seen a million different ways to structure this. I have it listed as activities. Dan has it listed as extracurriculars and projects. You can really do whatever you want with this section, right? This is where you're going to put RedSec. This is where you're going to put interest groups, competition teams, personal projects, competitions that you do, all sorts of stuff. Anything that you think makes you stand out, shows passion, shows that you're interested, shows that when you get this job, you're not going to just be a little boring intern. You're actually going to be enthusiastic and care about the work that you're doing. Super important section of your resume. Anything to add on this?
I mean, yeah, to show that it's on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just show that you're passionate. This is where you show your passion for cybersecurity. They, as James said, they don't just want a robot that codes. That's what ChatGPT is for, guys. And what they want is a person that they can connect to and that is passionate and is they know is going to be good for the business.
This is something I've been saying. They want someone they can go to lunch with, right? Like they don't want someone who's just like gonna sit at their desk, maybe say hi when they walk in, hi when they leave. They want someone they can go to lunch with, go on a corporate walk with, get coffee with. Interns are the fun part of these full timers jobs. They're there forever, and we're there for 3 months. So they like seeing our journeys and they like talking to us.
All right. things to keep in mind about applying to jobs. Start as early as you can. If you're starting now, you should get on that. And moving forward, say this is like your second year and you're just starting now. Next year, try to start as early as you can, even like late summer. So August is when I started applying to jobs, and then into September is when I started like hearing back from a ton of companies. And by October 13th of last year, I had my offer. So
To add to that, I started in June last year and I got my Apple offer in November. So you're going to want to start as early as possible. If you haven't started, it's not too late, but start right now.
yeah, exactly. Definitely start right now, and don't wait until the career fair. So right now, if you haven't started already, start applying to jobs. Right now. Go ahead. All right, cool. Also, like where start thinking about those questions of like where do you want to work, like where do you want to end up in the US, East Coast, West Coast, different country, Canada, Mexico, I don't know. Start thinking about those questions, and if you're at the point in your academic career that you can be a little bit more selective, don't waste your time applying to jobs where you don't really see yourself working. So yeah, and then also I can't stress this enough. Research the roles and the people that are going to be recruiting you. So research like the people and what they do, where else have they worked, what have they done, and this goes for the interviewers and the people that you'll be talking to at career fair. And then learn about the roles that they have posted, because if you know what the company is, you already know the roles that you're interested in, you ask like direct questions about those specific roles, that's going to go a long way for the recruiter. And I think you have a note on this.
I have slides on everything you just said later on.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Okay. And then talk to upperclassmen who have co-op experience and customize to the posting. So like we said, change the skills section. That's always a good move.
I'll take slide in people's LinkedIn DMs.
True. Very true.
Here's a couple resume examples, mine and Dan's. Just if you're curious about how something, should be formatted. This is mine, written in Word. I do kind of like Word just because it's different than LaTeX. If we go to Dan's on the next slide, in my opinion, all LaTeX resumes look the exact same, and I don't like that. I like mine to look a little different. But you can see there's no one size fits all, as long as you got the information on there, you got it in the right order,
True.
your sentences work the right way, and it can all pass the resume scanner. It's barbecue chicken.
All right.
Anything else for this?
No, that's all I got.
All right. Online presence. This is where you're gonna want to prepare your LinkedIn, your GitHub, and do some presentations like we're doing right now, so you can be posted on the RITSEC YouTube. You're gonna want to include some of these on your resume as well, maybe in the activity section. LinkedIn. Have a good LinkedIn. Keep it up to date. There's so many different sections of your LinkedIn that you can add. Up here, this doesn't even scratch the surface, right? I have like the banner part. Make sure you have a good, appropriate, simple banner. I just have the group picture of all of us that we took on the first day of convocation, I think it is called. Profile picture, so, a professional headshot. If you don't have a professional headshot, graduation photo, not a picture with you and your boys out on the town, right? A professional photo of just you.
And also not in the gown.
Yes.
Please have it be more professional than that. You don't want it to look like you just graduated high school.
Yeah. You're gonna want to, give a little short description about yourself in the about. I have incident response engineer, intern at Apple, honors BS cybersecurity student at RIT, business admin minor, 3.84 GPA, stuff like that. Super simple. Actually, could we go to my LinkedIn real quick? We'll do like a little, because there's some other sections below that I wish we had put on here. Ah, crap! It doesn't. Oh, it does. Cool. Because there's some other things I think are really. Yeah, I do. Of course, I have LinkedIn hyperlinked. So posting, definitely important. Post for big events. I got this job. I competed in a competition. For all you competing in IRSec, you should make a LinkedIn post after that. I think that was my first LinkedIn post. There's this big group picture we're going to take in the atrium together. You'll also take a team photo, throw those on LinkedIn. I had a great time competing in my first competition. Actually, I let's just go to that because I think mine's a good example of this, short and sweet. If it'll load, holy crap.
Well,
I don't even know why I reposted that. Here we go. Right, this is my first ever LinkedIn post. It was from IRSec my freshman year. Really didn't know what I was doing, but I wanted to, put some online presence out there. This is my team. I don't know if anybody else from this team is Lexi even here. No, I think I'm the only one from this team in the room right now. Right, super simple, short and sweet. All it needs to be. And then there's a whole bunch of good sections that you could throw on your LinkedIn. Experience, have this fully filled out. Yeah, you can see I have it all the way down to my first job working, playing, Nerf with little kids, organizing birthday parties. Education, have all the skills you've learned on there. Certifications and licenses, skills, courses. Do this. This is where you're going to put all of your courses and just put all of them on there, right? Such a good section on LinkedIn that I don't see utilized as much as it should be. All right, thanks. That's my little rant about LinkedIn. It's so good. Please use it. Connect with people. Connect with us. Yeah, just start connecting with people. These are all a handful of people that are in some way related to the club or know RIT students, and will probably accept
yeah,
your LinkedIn connection.
they're like random people that Anthony decided to. If you don't know who Anthony is, he graduated last year and he was the president 2 years ago. And he pretty much made it a game to see who the highest up person at every single company he could connect with. So you'll see a bunch of those like sponsors of the club. So Patel, security risk advisors. But then you also just see like Intel, Sentinel One, just like these kind of crazy companies that he's just connected with the CISO, chief of staff, that kind of thing. Make it a game. Yeah.
Make sure your GitHub's up to date. Put a personal project or two on there. You can make it look really fancy like Brad's does. I don't even know how to do that, but keep it up to date. I don't think there's anything else for GitHub.
Yeah, I mean, keep it up to date. Anything that you're proud of, make it public, and be that like have that as a place where people can go to kind of see what you have experience in and your interest in coding.
And all of these presentations, so if you do an education or a research presentation, that's posted on the RITSEC YouTube. You can link that on your resume. I do.
All right, finding the job at career fairs. So career fair again next week, and I think we actually have a slide on it. Yeah. So next Wednesday, October 8th, is career fair. It's in the Gordon Fieldhouse from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I would recommend, if you have the time, go for the whole time. If you're still looking for a co-op, and talk to as many companies as you can.
Raise your hand if you're a first year. Okay, that's a lot of you. A lot of
That's
you
awesome.
might not necessarily be looking for jobs right now. Go to career fair. I went my first year. I got absolutely shunned by everyone there. You're gonna get shunned by everyone
Yeah.
there. They're gonna see your first year and be like, sorry, we're looking for upperclassmen. But the experience and understanding how career fair works and understanding how to navigate career fair is incredibly useful for your next year. By the time it rolled around to our second years, me and you, we knew exactly what to do. We knew how to navigate the floor because it's a lot. We're gonna see there's a lot of companies and you don't have a lot of time there. Go to career fair, practice talking to companies. Like, don't even act like you're actually asking for a job. They might give you one if you're looking for one. You might get lucky and get a co-op as a first year student. You should definitely strive for one. You're gonna set the expectations low. You're probably gonna get shunned by a lot of it, but the experience is so useful for the next time you go, and you will be so much more prepared, and you'll just be pulling up from half court, and everything is gonna be going in.
Absolutely. And then on top of that, there's also the Career Fair Eve and Career Fair Eve Eve. So the virtual one is that Eve. That's on the Monday of next week, and then Tuesday is our RIT-Sec in-person Career Fair Eve. So I would recommend going to those because these sponsors are specifically supporting our organization in order to send people to these recruiting events. And they're very interested in hiring just security people. That's why they come to us. And some of these companies actually don't even go to the RIT career fair because they just want to come to our event. So highly recommend going. And I'll see you there. All right. everything else on here. WESIS Career Fair, the WESIS conference is TBD, but generally it's around April. And then just random career days. So like United has some SRA day, was I believe last week. Wegmans always has one, and then Lockheed Martin has one. Actually, probably a few every semester. So definitely recommend going to those because they do take note of it and it does get put onto your application even though you don't see it.
Yeah. For my upperclassmen, I'm curious, how many of us have you guys have all gone to these tables? Has anybody gotten interviews from these tables? I know I have. Just like going to these random pop-up tables that these companies set up. Where was yours? I was at the career fair last year. Okay. Yeah, but like these companies will just set up tables. It might not be in the cybersecurity building. It might be in Golisano. It might be in the electrical engineering building. It might be in Saunders. But emails will go out about them. You might just like delete them automatically, but pay attention to those because they're super useful. You can learn a lot, and you might get an interview from it.
Absolutely. All right, the elevator pitch. You want to take this one?
Yeah. So the elevator pitch is, think of it's called an elevator pitch because you use it in the spot of if you were to be in an elevator and you had 60 seconds until the other person got off the floor, how would you pitch yourself to them in order so that they would want to hire you? Simple. The things on here, this is what you're going to want to use for career fair because you realistically only have enough time as if you would be in an elevator with that person. 60-second pitch, name, current year, major, your activities, your past work experience, accomplishments, why you're here today, right? Don't just spit all this information out. I'm looking for a co-op. I would like to work for your company. And I can't stress enough, be a real person when you're doing this. Be a human and don't shove a resume in their faces. And me and Dan are going to give a little demo. Hi, it's nice to meet you. My name's James Southcott. I'm a third-year cybersecurity major. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, James. I'm Bob. Nice to meet you. And what else can you tell me about yourself?
So, if you'd like to take a look at my resume, as you can see, I'm a third-year cybersecurity student. I'm in honors, BSMS. I'm pretty involved with CCDC, which is blah, 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 blah. I'm also the captain of Red Team, which is blah, 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 blah. I see that you have XYZ co-op posted online. Could you tell me more about that?
Yes, I can. All right. So that's your elevator pitch, right? Now, you're in, guys. Let's get started on continuing that pitch. So, I see you have blah, blah, blah on your resume. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
So let's say at this point in the elevator pitch, I can nail that this guy is completely non-technical. He's straight from HR. He's straight from the Saunders College of Business, right? I'm not going to want to get into technical details with them because they don't know what that means. If I start explaining these technical details to my mother, who's a recruiter, she's not going to understand them. But if I tell Dan something along the lines of, I used this set of tools to do this, which did blank for the company. They understand business impact.
Oh, I like that. Business impact.
How much money it made, what time it saved, how it enabled people to do things. They understand that, right? They're not going to understand, I implemented Kubernetes at scale for our web application and imposed a web application firewall in front. No, they have no idea what that means. Don't say that, right? I analyzed malware at scale and did static analysis. No, they have no idea what that means, right? But now, let's say we're 30 to 45 seconds in, and I can tell Dan's an engineer. He's DevOps. He stays at work until 9 p.m. every night, right? That's when you get into your technical. Explain what you did, how you did it, all the tools that they know about. That's when you get technical. You need to read the room at career fair. Understand who you're talking to. It is so important.
And if any of those tools are posted on the job posting, those are all fair game to talk about. And if you can tell the person is an engineer, they're going to know all of those tools. So if you have experience in any of them, make sure that you tell them.
100%. Honestly, these two slides, I don't know. Okay, so career fair, right? It's Wednesday. There's going to be around 230 companies. I think the number right now is 235. Know what companies are going to be there. Download the Simplicity app. Read through the list. Figure out who has cybersecurity job postings. Because there's a lot of companies here that aren't hiring for cyber. Realistically, there's maybe 50, right? And realistically, there's a smaller subset of that are even sending people computer science adjacent to career fair. This is something we stressed a lot when we did the co-op practical analysts. There are going to be a section of engineering companies, awesome companies to work for. Lockheed Martin, L3 Harris, all the defense contractors, right? Awesome companies to work for. We've all had friends work for them, have a great time. They are not at career fair to hire cybersecurity majors. Apply online for them.
Yeah.
Awesome companies to work for. Don't waste your time because there's going to be a long line of kids from Mechie and Mechie Tech and Double E, right? But there is going to be a pocket of 10 to 15 cybersecurity companies that are going to be your bread and butter. Cannot recommend enough. Talk to your friends. Text them during the day what's going on. Last year, Dan already had his co-op. He was just out there at career fair working the floor with us.
I'll be there again.
He was telling us, hey, people are having good conversations with this company. Get in the far right line for this company. People are having really good conversations with her. She just went to lunch. This is the next best one. Talk to your friends. See who they're having good conversation with because it matters. The difference between 3 different recruiters at a table, huge difference. Scope it out beforehand. Try to understand who's here hiring engineers, who's here hiring computer science, who's here hiring finance people. Because, no disrespect to finance, but that's not who we want to talk to. We want to talk to the computer science people, right? And you don't want to wait in line for 25 minutes and now all of a sudden you have to hop in the back of the other line, right? That's going to be a waste of your time. Realistically, you only have time to talk to maybe 15 of these companies if you're lucky. If you get there at 9 a.m., it doesn't start until 10 a.m. If you want to be first in, you have to get there around 9 a.m. If you get there at 9 a.m. and still until 4 p.m., you'll realistically be able to talk to 15 companies with a lunch break. It's going to be a long day. Have water. Have a friend like Dan who will bring you water and Gatorade.
Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated.
And I also want to say another quick thing about a lot of those engineering companies. About 32% of this school is engineers. So they can just send a bunch of engineers and they'll have people to talk to for days. They are likely not sending computer scientists and they're likely not sending cybersecurity engineers. So, like James said, those Lockheed Martins, Honeywells, I would probably stray away from them and then apply online because you're effectively going to have the same chance as if you were to just not go and stop by their table at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Career Fair Eve, they're here just for us, right? It's for Rich Tech members. There's how many people, how many companies are we at?
So there will likely be between 6 and 8 companies. Right now, the expectation is 6.
Not between 6 and 7 companies.
No.
I'm going to be honest. The lines here are probably going to be longer than Career Fair. Is that crazy to say that?
That's not great. That's not crazy to say that. They'll be close to those big government contractors like Lockheed Martin because each of these companies, they're not all that big, but they're very interested in us. And so they can't send that many recruiters, but the fact that they are sending recruiters to just a student organization speaks volumes.
Yeah, it's huge. You're not going to waste any time here, though. You're going to sit in a line for maybe 5-10 minutes longer, but you're not going to waste any time, right? You're going to have good conversations with these people because they're here just for cybersecurity. They know what they're coming here for, especially for these companies. Do your research. Know what jobs they have posted. Know what the company does. If you can, talk to people. Know who they sent. At this point, I'm on a first name basis with like the recruiters at SRA, right? Because they've come here 3 years in a row now. Like Bella just knows me by name, right? And I'd say that's not uncommon for many of us who have been here for a few years, right? These companies have a good relationship with the club. So you want to start out a good relationship with them, especially if you've never talked to them before. Do your research. Know what positions they have open. You can see in my elevator pitch, that's one of the things I stress. I see you have XY position open. Can you tell me more about it, right? Because there's going to be the little blurb in the description, yada, yada, yada. But if they know that you've looked at it, they get excited and they want to tell you more about that. They're going to note that on your resume. My mom's a recruiter at Career Fair. She split the resumes up into 2 piles. People who knew the company and knew what jobs were posted before they came, and people who didn't. The ones that they didn't know the company, she threw out. There's so many kids at Career Fair, they can afford to do stuff like that. That's the reality of it, right? Do your research before you come to Career Fair and Career Fair Eve. It is so worth it.
So I would also argue that like 70% of the work done for Career Fair is the couple of nights before. So that's doing all of your research with what companies are coming, what companies are hiring for cybersecurity, if you can find it, you likely won't. Who are they sending? And then what job postings do they have that you're interested in? And have a couple of key questions for each of those.
Yeah, and I think this is on the next slide. Yeah.
Look at
So
that.
we've covered a lot of this, but the thing I wanted to cover at the end, do not bring a backpack to career fair or career fair if you're not going to have anywhere to put it. Technically, there's somewhere to put it for career fair, but it's like just this spot they designate as the backpack zone, and nobody's watching over it. So like your stuff can just get stolen. Just bring a Padfolio. If you don't have a Padfolio, a folder, a new folder. It maybe costs $2 at Staples. Have your resumes on one side, a pad of paper with your notes and blank paper on the other. You're going to want to have your notes ready for who you want to talk to, what jobs they have posted, because you're going to forget. It's a long day, right? And then blank piece of paper and a pen to take notes, or at least pretend to take notes, right? If they see you taking notes, they're impressed by that. And you never know. There might actually be something you want to write down, right? It's a long day. Some people are going to give you your emails. I think last career fair, I probably got 2 or 3 emails that they told me to email them directly.
It is a gold mine to get a company email that you can reach out to and that they tell you to reach out to. That means you're in.
Yeah, that means they want you. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else. That's my little rant slide.
Yeah,
Wear a suit and tie, please. Look professional. This is your first impression. This is something that Matt said yesterday at the co-op panel. You will never not get a job because you overdressed at career fair, but you will not get a job because you underdressed. There are certain companies and certain recruiters who will look at you and say you're underdressed and turn you away. There was someone who wore a graphic tee to career fair last year and came up to my mom and tried to hand her a resume, and she said no. She didn't even take the resume. She didn't even throw it in the trash. She said turn around, right? That's dress to impress. This is career fair. If you don't have any of these things, get them from Goodwill. There's no shame in going to Goodwill and like getting them and just spending $20, $30 on something that looks nice, and you can approach a recruiter and have a good conversation with them. If you already have nice things, try to get them ironed. Yes, Liz.
Also, there's a resource called Burns Closet. They have stores that close to where they keep. So if you are nervous about it or want to find something that feels good and professional, Burns Closet over in River.
So yeah, what Liz just said is repeating it for the stream. Is it Burns?
BERNS.
BERNS. So Burns at River Knoll. That's where you can go to pick up some like thrifted clothes.
Question there.
Don't forget, you need to make an appointment to go.
You need to make an appointment to go. So make sure to do that. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, if you have any questions about this presentation, please raise your hand and interrupt us so we can answer. Yeah, some other things. Learn how to shake a hand, especially for the guys. Learn how to shake a hand with another guy. Learn how to give a firm handshake. Please. Learn how to meet the webbing of your hand to their webbing. Learn how to shake a hand. Please shower and shave the morning of. Look presentable. Smell good. Wear deodorant. Look nice. And please talk like a human being. The first time, a couple times you go up to a company, you're gonna fumble. Use the first 1 or 2 companies as a warm-up. Don't go to your best companies right away, especially because it's like 9 a.m. The recruiters are still drinking coffee. Like they're mentally not there, right? So they're not there. You're not there for the first couple. Like you're also their warm-up. Use the first couple as a warm-up because you're gonna stumble. I've said some crazy things during.
We all have.
Yeah, we all have like our crazy horror stories. Someone yesterday was like, when the recruiter introduced themselves, they like said the same name back to them. Like, hi, the recruiter said, "Hi, I'm Matt," and the student said, "Hi, I'm Matt," back to them. You're gonna mess up your first couple,
Did
right?
not match what was on the
Yeah,
resume.
yeah, it just wasn't his name at all. You're gonna screw up. Use the first couple as a warm.
And also, you're gonna get. I want to stress this enough. I don't know if I can stress it enough. Anyway, but you're gonna get a little bit sweaty. There are a ton of people, and when a ton of people get in this really cramped room together, it gets pretty hot. So you're gonna sweat. That's why deodorant is so important. And make sure that you're prepared for all of that.
Yeah. Interviews.
All right. So starting off with phone screenings, this is where a lot of companies are gonna send you first, just to talk to HR, go over just like brief things about your resume. You're going to give your elevator pitch again, just a couple of common questions. Don't get stressed out about these, but be prepared for them. So have a couple more questions about the job posting that you're getting interviewed for. ready, and then just know that you're likely going to be talking to HR, so be a human. They love to see that, and if you're able to just be a human, that's enough to get you to the next round.
Yeah, I have two perfect phone screening examples. My first co-op, the guy that was phone screening me happened to live where one of my first jobs was. He's like, wow, I love Manja Manja. I could see the work there. We literally talked for 10 minutes about this first job I had as a dishwasher and a cook. Nothing to do with the job. They just want to see you're a human being and you can have a conversation with another human being. It's that simple.
And then, well, I have a quick note about that too. With getting involved in RITSec, if you start doing presentations and they're all public, sometimes you will actually get pushed past the phone screening already. Because when I applied to Microsoft, they just said no need to do a phone screening. We have your we see that your presentation skills are up on the RITSec YouTube, and so I just went to the actual technical interview round.
Yeah, you're gonna want to prep the 3 or 4 common questions for that. That's these 3 right here, right? The big one, why do you want to work at company, right? Why, if especially if it's a big company, sell them on why you want to work for the company. Be the corporate glazer, right? With my interview at Apple, I gave the craziest answer for this, talking about how we did a case study in cybersecurity policy and law about Apple fighting the government on privacy and how I loved it and I actually did really like it. And it is what inspired me to work for Apple. But this is your time to sell HR on why you want to work for the company, right? And then, other little things. It's generally not more than 20 minutes. It's your time to sell them about why you want to work for them. So have answers to those questions prepped. Be able to talk about everything on your resume in a non-technical manner. And then have a few questions. You're going to see this as a common trend. For every interview, you should have 3 to 4 questions prepped for the end of your interview with the person. If you don't have any questions, that's not a good thing, right? At a minimum, what do next steps look like? But these are some good example questions for something like a phone screening.
And I can promise you, at the end of every single interview you will ever have, the last question that they ask you will be, do you have any other questions about the position or the company? And make sure you're prepared for that.
Please. And this is the one you should prep that the least for because it's so general. For the behavioral interview, behavioral and technical, you're going to want to prep a little more for those questions that you get to ask at the end. For your behavioral interview, these are going to be very situational questions. Tell me about a time when you had to blank, show leadership, make a tough decision. When you were a leader and you had to make a decision with 2 people. When you were in a decision-making process and you realized later on that you didn't make the right decision. Stuff like that. There is a method to these: STAR, situation, task, action, result. Do you want to talk through these, Stan?
Yeah, I mean, so this is really just a way to break down a problem because there's a couple of key things that they're looking for in these behavioral interviews are how do you handle failure, how do you break down a problem, and how well do you work on a team. I would say that sums up every single behavioral interview you will ever do. And so for one of those, how do you break down a problem? You can start with the situation, recognizing all of the background information that has led up to this, and then task, figure out what a possible solution could be, start workshopping that, and then action, actually go out and do the task that you came up with, and then the final one is the result, reflecting back on the action that you just take. What was the result of it? Did it meet expectations? Did it not meet expectations? What could you have done better? Moving forward, how are you going to adapt?
Yeah. So honestly, this is a big one where you'll just get better at these the more you do them. I think one of the best things you could do is practice with a friend because they're very common questions and most of them are the same between interviews. But it's still a little it kind of hits you the first time you do one of these, right? But the second or third time, you've already answered this question. So it's easier to do it. So do these with a friend. Ask Google or ChatGPT, what are some common behavioral interview questions? And have a friend do it with you and literally say it out loud. If you don't say it out loud, you're not going to have that muscle memory in practice. It sounds weird, but trust, it works, it helps. I already hit on these. Have leadership examples ready. Tough decision times. And again, have 3 to 4 research questions prepped at the end. For this type of interview, behavioral interview, and a technical interview, you will likely know your interviewer beforehand. Stalk them. Find their LinkedIn. Find their job. What do they do for work? Ask them questions about their job. They love to hear that. Please, it is the number one thing that will help you get past the interview. You could screw up so many things during the interview. If you ask them 3 to 4 good questions at the end, that's all they're gonna remember, probably.
Yeah. Unless it was really bad.
Yeah, unless it was like
that will likely not happen. So yeah. All right. So for the technical interview, nowadays for cybersecurity, technical interviews look very, very different depending on which company you go to. Some companies will give you leak code optimization problems. Some companies will give you just another example of how you break down a problem. Say we found out an incident happened. What are your next steps for remediation? So if you've taken endpoint security, that class is pretty much just solely dedicated to preparing for questions like that, and it is extremely useful. So to anybody that's like a first or second year, I would recommend trying to take that class as soon as possible because it will prepare you very well for these questions. Because that's effectively where the landscape of cybersecurity technical interviews are moving. That's what both of us got when we were applying to Microsoft and Apple, respectively. And on top of that, you'll also probably have to walk through your resume, talk about personal projects. You're likely going to be matched up with somebody technical, so don't be afraid to go into detail and kind of show off what makes you interesting.
Yeah, this is the time where you really want to show off your nitty gritty. But I cannot stress enough. Don't lie. Do not BS these people because these people know what they're talking about. These people know the technical details. If you try to BS your way through it, they're gonna see right through you, and then they're questioning every other answer you gave before that. Right? Be honest. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'll look into that. Where could I learn more about that? What resources would help me understand that better?
Yeah, and if you blatantly don't know how to answer a question, on our co-op panel yesterday, if anybody knows who Matt Diss is, I think he had a phenomenal phenomenal response to a question that he didn't know anything about. He would say, and help me with this if I'm a little bit wrong. With my previous experience, I have not encountered a problem such as this, but if I were to use my previous experience and infer what I would do, this is how I would do it.
Absolutely.
So you're prefacing your response with saying that you're not completely sure, but it's also showing them how you break down a problem and apply your previous skills to something unseen.
Yeah. Think through your responses with these, especially for those broader questions, like Dan mentioned. You're gonna get some of those broader questions. A question I got in my interview is you're responding to an incident. We were talking about CCDC. It was the first question. You're responding to an incident in CCDC. Walk me through the entire incident management lifecycle process. Super open-ended question. Right? I could have talked for the entire interview. I ended up talking for like 15 minutes. But they just want to see how you think. See the way your mind works, how it breaks down the problem. If you think of something later, do you go back and say, "Oh yeah, let's also do this because I just thought of that." Right? Think through the whole problem and think out loud. Can't emphasize this enough. For prepping for these, you can't. Yeah, question.
What was the class that you said?
Endpoint security at CSEC 310.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for these, it's a little harder to prepare for these interviews because it's so wide of a variety of what you could see, right? If you know you're going to get a leak code, that's a little different. Spend your life on leak code for the next couple days.
Very true.
Yeah. You're do a little research on the interviewer ahead of time. Have those 3 to 4 questions ready. Have them questions about their job. Please do this. Please ask them questions about their job. They love it. But yeah, this is just tough to prepare for because there's so many different types of questions you could get. But you can be prepared to talk about every single thing on your resume.
And also at the end of the interview, again, you will be asked, do you have any questions about the company or the role? Have a couple of technical questions prepared, and that's going to be your time to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've covered this a lot. Ask questions and be prepared to ask questions.
All right. And so, like for interviews, figure out what they're looking for. So do a little bit of research on your interviewer, see what they've posted on LinkedIn, what they're interested in, what they do for work, and all of that can help you kind of like build a profile so that you're as ready as possible heading into this interview. And just like some key soft skills that they're oftentimes going to be asking for are up there. So like communication, collaboration, curiosity. How do you work with the team, and are you passionate about what you do?
Not getting fired now that you have the job. This is quite important. Employee handbook. This is going to contain a lot of information. Some of the more notable ones, especially for us cybersecurities, NDAs. You're going to want to make sure you read those NDAs. An NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. Is essentially what when the company tells you you can't talk about these things that you're going to experience with. Don't break your NDA. It's that simple.
Yeah, just take some time to read your NDA. That's probably the most important thing on this slide, and just like be an ethical person.
Yeah, a couple of these work attire. Ask your recruiter, right? Ask, hey, what is recommended attire for the company? I'd always recommend dress up a little nicer than that for day one. Would you agree? You're probably going to take a headshot or some sort of photo that's going to be your badge photo. Just dress a little nicer. It's understandable because it's your first day. And then once you see the vibe of the office, the vibe of what everyone else is wearing, then match that as best as you can. Don't spend thousands of dollars on a new wardrobe, but match it to the best of your ability.
Yeah, like for example, when I went to Microsoft, my first day, I wore like a button down. I think I had a tie on. I had slacks, nice shoes that I had just bought. And I, was a little bit overdressed. And then once I got a gauge for like how everybody else dressed there, then what I'm wearing right now is pretty much what I wore to work every day. So sometimes you'll get lucky and the dress code isn't all that strict. But you never want to be ill prepared for that first day, because if you show up underdressed, that's a really bad look. If you show up like overdressed, sometimes people will look at that quite positively. So just keep that in mind.
And people also are like, oh, it's little intense. They don't know no better. They're dressed up on the first day. They're little, they're all cute, So at my first job, I had a few kids wearing suit and ties on their first day, and that was they wore suit and tie for the first 2 days, and then they're like, okay, I'm not wearing a suit and tie anymore. It is what it is. Don't be afraid to dress up a little nicer on your first day.
Absolutely.
It's completely all right.
All right. So, work etiquette. Some key points here. Show up on time. Depending on what team you're on, this will vary, but make sure that you show up to work at least around when your manager does, and stay at work for at least 8 hours. And yeah, dress appropriately. So we just talked about like business casual, business formal. Then get enough sleep. So please sleep. People will recognize if you're like dozing off at work. That is a really bad look. So if you're interested in getting a return offer, please get enough sleep. Take care of yourself. And this is really what an internship is. It's an extended interview for full time. So treat it that way. And treat every day of work like it's a new day for an interview. And then also finally be appropriate. So I don't think I really have to lecture all of you on what's appropriate for like the workplace to talk about. But try to keep everything like lighthearted. Don't go too far past stuff that's not work related. Like it's appropriate to ask, what are you up to this weekend? But don't start talking about like everybody's life story.
And when people ask you what did you do this weekend, if you didn't do anything, just lie, say something, right? It's that simple. Right? This is someone my mom says all the time is working in HR. When someone asks you what you did this weekend, don't go into every detail, but say something.
Yeah.
20 seconds, right?
Definitely say something.
I went to Yosemite this weekend.
Yeah.
Hey.
I went down to visit my friend at Apple, and we went hiking in Yosemite on Saturday.
Or, hey, I watched the NBA Finals this weekend. I watched some football. It's as simple as that. But don't say, sat around all weekend.
Nobody
wants to have a conversation with that person anymore. Right?
Exactly. And basically the key here is be likable and be somebody that they can, have lunch with, like James said.
I'll do this. I think my son's next.
All right, sure. Okay, so ask for feedback from your manager. Some companies will have like built-in feedback. Like I know at Microsoft and Travelers, I had a final sit down with my manager at the end of the internship to discuss what went well, what didn't go well, and next steps for possibly a returning internship or full-time. This feedback is very, very useful, and sometimes you can use it in like future job applications, talking about it in future interviews, but make sure to check with your manager beforehand. And if they really like you, ask them to if you can put them down as a reference, and so that other recruiters will reach out to them and see exactly how you did in a real work environment. And then finally, finish with an open line of communication. So connect with them on LinkedIn and continue that conversation past your internship.
Absolutely. And please don't sleep with another intern. Don't do it. Don't. All right. Yeah, not important. So you got the job, networking. Super important part of the job is networking. When I was in your seats my first year, I remember Olivia came on the student panel and did this presentation, and she talked about how while she was at Apple, she had a one-on-one every single day. And I'm like, what the heck? How'd you have a one-on-one or a coffee chat every single day? And then I did it this summer. Networking is so important, especially if you're in a big company. Meet these people, talk to these people. I had a guy in my org who worked on designing Apple Pay. Yeah, I had a couple coffee chats with him. Yeah, I asked him if he wanted to go on a corporate walk and talk about his job, right? Like you're going to work with some incredibly smart people, some people you can learn from, some people that might be able to help you out in your future, right? Some people that you might be interviewing with in 10, 15 years because you want to work on their team or something, right? Have coffee chats, build these connections, connect with people on LinkedIn, ask them about their role. A coffee chat should mostly be you as an intern asking a full-timer about their job, about their work, asking them questions about their experience. I saw you worked at blah, blah, blah for 10 to 15 years. Could you tell me what that was like? I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, use it as connections. So if you're, say, halfway through your internship and you're not entirely happy with where you are, but you're at a company that has a lot more opportunities, start talking with people that are in a lot of those other teams that you're interested in. And oftentimes they will remember you because you put in that extra effort to go talk to them and learn more about the positions on their team.
Yeah, I'm a big fan personally of not specifically a coffee chat, but the corporate walk. Just going for a walk around the building outside. It's as simple as that. We sit and stare at computers all day. So getting up, going out, walking around the building 2 or 3 times for 30 minutes, 10 out of 10. Nice chat. LinkedIn. Connect with people you work with. Connect with your team, your manager, your mentor. Send a short message, just to, hey, it was a pleasure working with you this summer. I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn, right? Be a human. It helps, just helps people remember you. They know you. Just overall, just do it. Social events. Not offered everywhere. If you're in person and you're at a bigger company, honestly, not even a bigger company. I had one my first year, and we only had 10 interns.
Yeah, like moderately sized companies too, even some small.
Yeah, as long as you have at least like 5 or 6 interns, they'll probably have some sort of in-person social event. It'll maybe be company-wide or just interns. Like for me, this summer was just interns. Meet coworkers, meet people, talk, socialize. Add people on LinkedIn. There will probably be an open bar at these. Do not get blackout drunk.
Yeah.
Do not.
It will likely be, well, obviously it's going to be closed to if you're over 21. They will check. So if you're under 21, don't try it. It's not worth it. If you're over 21, sure, take advantage of it, but don't go crazy.
Do not go crazy. The full-timers will go crazy sometimes because they're allowed to. They're full-timers. We're interns. Be who you can afford to be. We're not at that stage yet, right? If you have a company baseball game, like we had a company baseball game, there were people who was a little interesting seeing with a few beers in them. None of us were drinking at all, even though a few of us are 21, right? We don't want the full-timers to see what we're like once we get intoxicated, right? That's just bad. Just don't do it. I would say don't drink at the social events if there are full timers there. Like maybe one drink, right? Just don't do it. Don't ruin your chances of getting a return offer. It's that simple.
Yep. All right. So after you complete this co-op experience, well, obviously this is one of the things that sets RIT apart, and start reflecting on what went well, what didn't go well, what do you like? Do you like the avenue of cybersecurity that you chose to go down? Do you not like it? Internships are really also for you. They're a place for you to try out every avenue, every niche of cybersecurity, and figure out what you're most passionate, most interested about, because passion is what's going to carry you to those high places and get you deep into like the company or company structure. Also, learn more about the company culture. What do you like about it? What do you not like? And then remember all of these things when you're applying to your next co-op.
Yeah, and another thing, location is big. Me personally, I had never moved outside of Rochester my whole life. So like California, very different, right? Think about where you want to live for these internships. Do them in some cool locations, right? It's temporary. It's only 3 months or 6 if you do a double block, but it's only 3 months, right? Like if it's absolutely terrible, it's done after 3 months, right? If you absolutely hate it, me personally, I love doing all the things in California, but I could never live in California for longer than 3 months. I was like, get me the heck out of there, right? But hopefully they're sending me to Texas next.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna love Texas.
exactly.
But so that's something to think about, right? If you haven't experienced some of these big places where a lot of these cybersecurity companies before, if you haven't lived in DC before, do a co-op in DC. See if you like it, because there's a lot of us in DC. Austin, California, New York City. What are some other hubs? Am I missing any
Seattle.
hubs? Seattle. Sorry, yeah. Like Dan was at Seattle this summer and he absolutely loved it, right?
Yeah.
So experience these new places, these new climates, these new areas, new people, right? Experience it because it's temporary, right? And you can see if you absolutely love it and you want to go back full time.
And it is a big change to like move somewhere, a 6-hour plane ride away. But it is a very valuable experience to get in college, because if you love it and you have the opportunity to move out there full time, great. If you hated it, now you know without wasting an entire like year of your life, hey, I don't want to be too far from home. I get very homesick. I miss my family. I miss my friends. So keep that in mind. It's a very valuable experience, and I think it's oftentimes understated with internships.
Agreed. Honestly, we can skip these. I don't think there's any.
Yeah.
All
right.
Good job. Profit. Any questions?
All right.
There should be some questions, hopefully.
Please
ask questions. If there's not any questions, I don't know if question.
So during the second career fair, second semester,
Yeah.
how I feel like it's not as many opportunities. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question was, the spring career fair, oftentimes there's not as many opportunities. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I'd agree. There's probably not going to be as many companies. There's 230 at this one. There'll probably be 150. I feel like, Liz, you probably have better numbers than me.
Yeah.
120 to 150. Yeah, because it's such a short time period. There's still plenty of companies. Honestly, it might even be better because like you're actually going to be able to talk to all the companies you want to talk to, right? Like here, you're not going to be able to talk to all the companies you want to talk to at the fall career fair. Spring, like you might be able to get away with only going for 5 out of the 6 hours and still being able to talk to the 10 companies that are hiring for cyber. But yeah, there's going to be less. That doesn't necessarily make it worse. Just less volume,
Yeah, less volume, and also they're going to be more skewed to. So the fall one is going to be more skewed towards like full time and summer employment. The spring one is going to be more skewed towards like semester long co-ops. And so if you're interested in doing a semester long co-op, it is a phenomenal experience to go to that.
Yeah, and they might even be hiring, if you see any of the 3-letter agencies there in the spring, they're hiring for the next summer. They're like this spring, so spring 26, they'll be hiring for summer 27. So that's something to think about. Some companies might be as well, probably not. Most private companies do like a year-long window. The longest I see is like JP Morgan Chase.
Yeah, the
posts
longest
at the beginning of
ones.
summer.
Yeah, the longest ones I'll see are like those big finance companies at the beginning of every summer.
Yeah,
but big tech is generally like June to August is when applications are open, and then like everything else is all the way up until pretty much like December, sometimes even January for a lot of those.
Yeah, so it is smaller, but I still recommend going. Yeah, John.
As a first year going to career fair, how do my objectives or what's in my head, expectations differ from typical I'm trying to get a job?
Yeah, so the question was, as a first year, how should my objective or expectations differ compared to a second year? I'm just going to put this as bluntly as possible. Don't expect to come out with an interview or a job, right? Just put it simply as that. Have zero expectations. The only expectation I would recommend is experience for yourself. You might get an interview. I happened to get an interview, not an interview today, but they contacted me a month later. It was Excelis, right? You might get an interview, but go in with zero expectations. Anything better than that is a win. And that's simply I think the simplest way to put it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're stand out, oftentimes companies will remember you the next cycle. And if they tell you to, we're not looking for first years right now, but definitely come back and talk to us, they might remember you. So it's definitely worth going.
Absolutely. That was something someone asked a question about that in co-op panel yesterday. Follow up with these people. Build a connection with these people. I mentioned SRA. The recruiters know me by first name. Same thing with Excelis, Rochester Regional. These local companies, right? They're here all the time. They set up tables outside. They sponsor the club. They're at the career fair. If you go as a first year, by the time you're a third year, that's pretty much a guaranteed internship. Like I mean, I don't want to say that like 100%, but like, yeah, as long as you know what you're doing, right? I had an interview with Excelis last year, and I had, after my first year, I'd applied with them, emailed as a follow up after I didn't get the job, saying thank you. Connected with him on LinkedIn. It happens that his like brother's cousin is my neighbor or something, crazy connection. But like then I ended up interviewing with them the next year, and I got the job offer the day after my interview. Right, so you can see how like it does help, it does matter. So a lot of it is also those connections you're going to build, especially with the local companies. Know what the local companies are: Rochester Regional, Excelis, SRA. What other ones am I missing, Liz?
ICR.
ICR, yeah, they're Syracuse, but it's still local. What's the Paychecks? Yeah, Paychecks, M&T Bank, Delaware North. Those Western New York companies are big with RIT. Yeah, Max works at Delaware North. Yeah, M&T, I forgot they're at. And they're also a sponsor of the club.
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
BC, yeah, that's Excelis.
Oh, right.
So yeah.
All right.
Slides will be posted after.
These slides, yes, they will be posted. Yeah, Caroline.
If you apply to the company online for your career, how would you recommend adjusting your introduction?
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Great question. The question was, if you applied to a company online before the career fair, how would you adjust your questions and talking to them? I would go pretty similarly, because I would recommend that you should apply online beforehand, right? I would recommend that you apply to all of these jobs that are posted online. And instead of saying, I've seen that you posted online, when I'm talking to Dan, hey, would you like to take a look at my resume?
Yeah, let's see it.
So I'm involved in blah, 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 blah. I do blah, 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 blah. I've applied to this job you've posted online, and I'm really interested in it. Could you tell me more, right? It's just, past tense versus future tense, right?
Changing a little bit of that wording with saying that you have already applied versus you saw that they were online.
Yeah, but 100% you should apply to these jobs before you go to the career fair. So thank you for that question, actually.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I hope that answers the question. Yeah, all right,
cool. Any other questions? All right.
Advice, don't fall into the trap of we're all competing for the same jobs. I promise you, there may be folks who are interviewing with that you have folks in your classes that are also interviewing for these jobs. That's totally fair. Use each other's resources. You are not each other's enemies. You are each other's allies. In this 4 years, when you're going to be gone, this alumni network is smaller than you think. These are going to be the connections that you know of when you are gone in the long term. So I'm just encouraging y'all, like, right now it may seem like it's competitive, we're each other's enemies, you versus me, and it may feel that way. Don't fall into the trap, it's very tempting. Something that works for you may not work for someone else, and vice versa. Send each other job postings if so and so is looking for this. That's not really my realm. use each other as resources, not as enemies.
Yeah, and the key point there for the stream is that Liz just said we're all on the same team. We're all just trying to get jobs, and so use each other as resources. And if you find like a job that's not for you, but you have a friend that's very interested in it, give it to them, and don't fall into the trap of thinking, oh, we're all applying to the same job. They're my enemy.
Can't restate that, stress that enough. My second year, me, Danny Nichols, and Matt Sisko had a shared drive or a shared file where we kept track of all the positions we applied to with the link to the job posting in it. Right? Do something like that with your friends. Right? 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yeah.
Any other questions before we move on to some fun little demos for you guys to practice and get ready for career fair?
Oh yeah. All right, let's get started. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming.